Hi, welcome. I'm Shoshana Socher. It is kind of a tongue twister-ish aspect there, and you're in the right room if you're ready to win with sellers. We're going to get clarity on strategies and game plans and systems and all kind of fun things, specifically as they relate to sellers. And I don't really care if you're on your phone, just would say to you to allow yourself to focus here. It's great to turn off distractions for a few minutes just to kind of let the brain be here. Not insulted if you're not, but just saying. So on that note, I was curious for a couple of things. What brought you here and what you want to learn? Because I have a whole game plan, but I want to make sure I hit everybody's points. So just holler out something that brought you to this room today.
Colleen.
Love that. Thank you, Colleen. Colleen, I appreciate you.
Here for you.
I want to hear from the master.
Okay, thanks, guys. Get specific on it, Jeremy. Tell me more.
Repeatable steps and strategies that we're using to be successful.
Repeatable steps.
Instead of winging it.
Okay.
Time for 14 years.
Ryan, I saw you were about to say something.
Yeah, just getting refreshed on the strategies, going into the changing market we're going into, refreshing up on our skill sets and things like that.
Okay. Who else?
I'll say when I was on your team, I got a lot of information and a lot of tools from you to help me secure a listing. So definitely to get more information to learn from you more.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so let's also ask this question. What is the actual benefit of having listings? Like, why do you have them? Why do you need them? What do they do for you?
Buyers.
You were going to say? Buyers. Money. What else?
Listings have babies, so I mean, it's the greatest thing you can do in terms of creating leverage as a realtor.
Okay, the greatest thing you can do for leverage as a real estate agent is to actually have listings.
Right.
Okay, anything else that comes to mind?
Isn't it that every listing you could technically have 3 sales or something?
Because every listing you could have 3 sales because.
Buyer and referral and sell?
Okay, love it. Yes, because you can have buyer, seller, referral, et cetera. It definitely perpetuates the cycle and is definitely not a dead end. Okay, so I want to take 1 minute to tell you a little bit how I discovered the importance of listings. When I had been licensed for 2 years in 2008, my youngest child was born. She has Down syndrome, but the main thing is she had to have open heart surgery when she was 10 days old. Then she had to have open heart surgery when she was 10 months old. And if you have anybody in your life with any kind of special needs or anything like that, medical or developmental, anything like that, there's a million appointments. I kid you not. Every day was like therapies, doctors, this, that, the other thing. You cannot imagine the vast number of appointments coupled with extended hospital stays. So I was like, oh my God. 2 years in business, I got to figure out how to stay in business, right? Like they're going to be pushing the eject button here pretty soon if I don't think of something. So I did realize that if I listed homes, I could go on an appointment, list the home, and then I was not done, but done. Whereas if I was with a buyer, I was going to be driving around all day, hither and yon, till deciding whether they were actually going to buy or not. So that was a time that just really drove home to me why the listings really, really, really mattered. And in 2008, let me tell you something, listings were like a noose around your neck, literally. I know it sounds crazy, but listings sat on the market, Colleen will tell you, sat on the market for so long, they didn't sell forever. It was nerve-wracking. So you had to really kind of nail how to get them actually sold and to actually equal the business that you pointed out with the 3 transactions from each listing. So in my experience, people come to classes like this for one of 3 reasons. And watch, I'm going to be tall enough to flip this with an elegant flip. Woo! Almost. No elegance. Number 1, you'd like to learn about the power of listings and how they can change your business. Number 2, you're intrigued by the thought that listings can be a lead generation tool. Or number 3, You're excited by the idea that purposefully organizing your systems and methods can provide you really ultimately with a higher level of profit and a higher level of income. So I'm just going to ask you, which one are you? Are you one, you'd like to learn about the power of listings? Show of hands. Number two, you're intrigued by the thought that listings could actually be a lead generation tool. Or number three, you're excited about the idea of organizing and purposefully growing your business and ultimately your profit. Great. Okay, and by the way, they're all really, really, really valid. They're all great reasons to be here. So, and you are allowed to say all three, by the way. So if that's you, really no matter your reason for being here today, I fully support you in whatever your motivation is. So to back up 1 second, I'm Shoshana Socher, like I said. I've been married for 36 years to the same person. I have 6 children. I have 7 grandchildren. And those kids call me Granny, which is like really the most fun thing of all, ever. And I am here to tell you I'm living proof to say you could go from being a broke homeschooling mom to being a team rainmaker here at Keller Williams. It's just an amazing thing that is not something that like happened, but it's something that you can create for yourself as well, whatever your path is. In 2021, our team did around 150 transactions. I was personally responsible for 45 of those. Do not feel bad if your business was down in 2020. Ours and mine personally was too. So I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, well, my business went down last year. Guess what? Same here. So that's just the way it is. This year, our team will do 115 transactions or so, and about 30 of those are mine. So just, it is what it is. I've been licensed in real estate for about 16 years. I've been with Keller Williams for 11 years. I am a real estate investor, and I became an investor in the Market Center itself about 6 years ago. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do with your real estate license, and they're all open to every single person in this room, which is pretty neat considering it's just 3 weeks at Hondros College. So I'm just going to ask you one thing. Can you imagine what it would feel like if during the shifting market you took more market share and not less? I just asked that question. I'm going to tell you something, which is that knowing your numbers is the single most important and strategic and profitable way to make an impact on your world. So, to that end, we're going to flippity flip-flop here through our packets to, and I love that they're double printed, but it's going to throw everybody a little bit kook around for a second, to this page that says conversion rates. Hey, how are you? Come on, we got seats for you. Okay, we're going to kind of group up here a little bit. But before we do so, I'm just going to ask a quick question, which is, has anybody ever seen this book? Yeah, you seen this? You seen this a little bit? Okay. Just in case yours is coffee stained and gross, like mine is, don't stress out about that. It's a good sign. It means you actually used it. And if it's written all over and you've read it a few times or used the pages or whatever, I think it's important stuff. So I want to read aloud. This is story time. Ready? Converting leads to appointments and converting appointments to listings are huge drivers of your economic success. Right? Converting leads to appointments and converting appointments to listings are huge drivers of your economic success. That's on page 132 in this book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you see it. Okay, don't be worried about the word calculate. I know everybody gets a little bit nervous when I say we're going to calculate something, but I also know that the entire room can figure out their commission owed, literally with your eyes closed and your hands tied behind your back. You're like, oh, that's, $632,000, whatever, Just commission calculations somehow come very, very naturally to us, and yet when it comes to needing to figure out something else, all of a sudden we're just like, oh, I don't really know if I'm any good at math. Someone's like, guess what? you got a calculator. Everybody has a phone with a calculator, and you can use it to figure out your conversion numbers. Now, if you don't have your own numbers, don't stress out. I'll show you how to do it. But I'm going to have you sit, kind of group up the two of you and the three of you and the three of you, et cetera, if you would, and look at that page that says conversion numbers, conversion ratios, sorry. And here we go with the elegant flip. Ready for the elegant flip? I need Jeremy. Come on, Jeremy, help me out, man. Oh, there we go. That's pretty good. That's pretty elegant. And we're going to look at 4 things. We're going to look at 4 numbers, and then I will help you with the calculations. The number of conversations you're having a week. Somebody in this room knows cold how many conversations they have a week. We're going to look at the number of actual leads that you get from those conversations, right, that you've generated from those conversations, because unfortunately, every single conversation does not exactly equal a lead. The number of appointments that you set from those conversations, and then ultimately the number of signed listings you get from the appointments. So group up real quick, 2 minutes, talk to each other through these numbers together. Flip open to this page. It looks like this and says conversion ratios. Just because I need the clock. Oh. Thank you. I just need the timer. See where I'm doing time-wise. Is she going to wave at me? Is she going to scream at me if I'm... Okay, good.
I asked her what the code word was. She said you didn't have one.
Oh, God. Jello. No. Sure.
No code word?
No code word, you're done. Okay. Sorry. For a couple minutes, then you can come back. All right, let's gather up here. Let's gather up here. Let's gather here and let's use some numbers and see how this actually works and how this actually behaves. What on this piece of paper of these 4 do you want the most? Signed listings. We all want signed listings. We're going to jump straight to the end. Let's say you want 2 signed listings, which is a direct outcome of what? How many appointments you went on. It is my experience, I count this as double. I need double the appointments that I'm going to actually have signed. And you may know that I'm in business with my son Kobe, who will say, Mom, you don't need that many listing appointments to get that many signed agreements. I'm like, actually I do, because when I set 4 listing appointments, 1 person decided they're not moving, 1 person listed with somebody else, and 2 people will ultimately list with me. It's not that you couldn't potentially convert more people, but I always do count that at 50%. So how many appointments do we need to go on for 2 signed listings? 4. Now let's talk about actual number of leads. People spoken to, and this is a little bit of a tricky question, do you need to speak to actually set an appointment? Somebody who's purposefully lead generating, throw out a number. How many people do you speak to set an appointment? Around 20. That's a great number. Around 20 people. Now, if the 20 people standing next to you are your best friend, your mother, your boyfriend, Mike Rapasky, like this crowd, those are your 20 people, you probably don't need 20 people to set an appointment. But if who you're talking to is, oh my gosh, you're considering moving, my name is Shoshana, you need 20 of those, right? You're at Barnes & Noble and you just meet some other random person who's in line at the store, and all of a sudden you're talking real estate. You need 20 of those conversations at least in order to set an appointment. And in fact, because I always err on the side of like, I actually would probably say potentially even a little bit more. So I'm going to probably go with 50 leads will lead you to about, 50 leads will lead you to about 4 appointments. 50 actual leads. So these are leads that you're like following up with, keeping track of, nurturing, don't forget me, John, don't forget me. Remember we talked last week. You're like, wait, who's that girl again? You know, like you got to really, really, really keep on top of these people, which we will get to. And in order to get these 50 people, I'm going to tell you, I believe you need at least 100. So 100 conversations theoretically will lead you to 2 signed listing appointments. It's a really sobering number. Then again, are these actual numbers? They're not exactly actual numbers, but I recommend that you chart yourself how long it takes.
Is that right?
What? No. It's just the fan.
I was reading that part out.
No. I recommend you chart your actual conversations, your actual leads, your actual appointments gone on, and then ultimately, so you know your signed numbers. And you can get to numbers by doing math. B divided by A gets us 50%, right? C divided by B gets us about 8%. And again, if the people you're talking to are your sphere, it's going to be radically different than people you're talking to that are random. And appointments to contracts signed, I count at 50%. That's appointments set, not necessarily appointments gone on. Hopefully you can improve your appointments gone on ratio so that the appointments you actually go on, you're closing at a much higher level. Okay, so questions about that? No? Mike Rapasky has a question.
Well, I wanted you to reiterate your point about why you need to set 4 listing appointments to get 2 signed appointments. I think there's a big takeaway there in going for more to get more.
It is shocking how many people are going to move today that for whatever reason are not moving tomorrow. Like, I didn't get the job. I thought I was leaving. I didn't get my contract renewed. I don't know, we decided to stay put another year. The economy's up, the economy's down. The weather stinks, the weather's perfect. I don't know, you name it. Name it. It's just a human response that not every single person who decides they're going to move today ultimately moves. So you do need a significant number of appointments in order to actually have the signed listing agreement. So that's an important component. Okay. So who has seen our favorite Keller Williams triangle? Good? Yeah? What goes on the bottom? Thank you. What goes on? Okay, he goes right to the listings. Right. What goes on the side? Listings. And what goes on the other side? Why are leads the bottom component of the triangle? They are the foundation of absolutely everything. Lead generation is the backbone of our business, and it has to be engaged with daily, like every day, daily, kind of daily. Not like that every few days daily, but like the daily of daily. The word daily that really means daily. So I love lead generation. I lead generate myself every day. At this point in the game, I will tell you that it's really a lot by text, a lot. You may hear me silently over in the corner, wonder what I'm doing, but I am lead generating pretty much every single day. And I don't mind it. I like it. I like to reach out to my people, and I really like to keep them organized. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a lot of lead generation tips. It's kind of where I mix my love of real estate with my inner I love Lucy. So that's like kind of like the two sides of Shoshana. And I would just ask you, as we think about lead generation for sellers, where could you find a seller lead? You walk out of this class today and you're like, I gotta have a seller lead. I must have a seller lead. Where can you find one? Yell it out. I know you can all think of something. What? For sale by owners. What else? Sorry? Expired. What else? Something easier, just like, start your database. Has anybody ever Googled the rate of home ownership in Cuyahoga County? It's actually really interesting. I can't remember the number right this second, but it's somewhere between 56 and 60%. That means in your database, 60% of the people are already homeowners. That means they're potential sellers. That means that 40% of the people are not homeowners yet. So that means those are potential buyers. But whatever that number is, I can't remember it this second, but it's an interesting little tidbit. Now let me ask you this. What if your leads were incredibly organized and you knew who to call when? Would that change anything? That would change. Okay. So I'm going to show you how I get organized. And this is exactly factually what we do and what we have handed out and glued everywhere all over our office. Flip to this page. We follow a system of hot, nurture, and watch. There is protocol for each type of lead. Okay? What's a hot lead? Somebody read me the first circle. 0 to 90-day business. You're going to buy it or sell a house in December, January, February. You are hot. I am on you. We're like best friends. Like, hi, you want to go for coffee today? Because we are going to be really, really tied to each other for the next 3 months if you want to do business in the next 3 months. What's a nurture? Right? 4 to 12 months. And what's a watch? Longer than a year. You think the year, you're like, oh my God, this is so depressing. They're not going to buy till like 2024 at this point. On the other hand, you know what? People are planning their moves. People are planning their moves way, way in advance. I was saying to our team today that the medical residents have already interviewed. They've already ranked their places. They know the ones that want to come here, they're really already hoping for their spots, right? And that's in March. That's practically a hot. I mean, it isn't quite, right? Because they're really technically a nurture. Each of these leads has something that you do with them, of these statuses. Every single person has a task assigned to them in your database, in your CRM, contact relationship management system, whatever you're using. You can see here that a hot gets a call reminder for every 7 days. Every 7 days. Mike, I found a house on Silsby. I know you said you wanted to live in Beechwood. Would you consider University Heights? Something like that. Doesn't have to be, I found you the perfect house. It can be anything, just a point of contact or a care call, something like that. Every 7 days, every 14 days for the middle crowd, and every month for the crowd that's longer than a year. Then every single person must be set up on some kind of listing alert, an MLS search, through your CRM, however you want to do it. But they have to be set up on a search, because they've called 10 realtors and every real estate agent is trying to get to them. So you got to like solidify the relationship. But this is actually about sellers. So we'll skip our buyers for 1 second, but just a point. Okay, so kind of mini segue into what you do when you've got somebody on the phone who wants to list their house. If you'd flip the page of your packet, please, and look at the seller information sheet. Raise your hand if you're familiar with the LP Mama script for buyers. LP Mama, location, price, motivation, right? Those things, the questions that we ask. It's the same for a seller, only in reverse, right? It's the same. The more information we have, the more you pre-qualify your appointment, the better the appointment is when you get there. How often do you walk into an appointment and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to ask if the husband's gonna be there, and it's only one party and they're married, and I can't even get a listing agreement properly signed today. Like, it's so annoying. So when you take a minute to actually allow yourself to have a conversation and fill out the forms, or fill out some form, doesn't have to be this form, but something like this, you're just like 10 steps ahead, right, for the appointment. The other interesting thing is, when was the last time anybody here, not for real estate, but set an appointment for themselves, anywhere? A doctor, a fence company, set an appointment for yourself, right? Did they take your information? Yeah. Did they want more information than you thought necessary? Did you give it to them? Yes. I mean, I'm just saying, it's craziness. Like, we're like shy to ask, wait, what do you owe on the property? Like, we're shy to ask these questions that are 100% relevant to listing their home. So the more we know, the more we can get them into the place where they're actually ready to list with us. Any questions about the seller information sheet? Okay, grab your pen. From everything we've talked about leads so far, just one thing, jot down for yourself one thing that you could do to make your lead generation, either your efforts, your conversions, your systems around leads easier. Just jot down one little thing. Ooh, I heard a pen go down. That was so purposeful. I love that. Okay, now, fun times. Everybody stand up for a second. Get out of your seats. Let's bring the energy for just a minute. Okay, real brief. Has anybody ever heard of a value proposition? What's that mean, Mike?
Means what you offer that earns you the income.
What you offer to the client that ultimately will bring the income to you. What you have to offer. Now, there was a woman in our market center who I think years and years ago, who I think isn't with us any longer, but she was a nail tech. And what did she bring to the table? You could say, well, she'd never sold houses before. She, quote unquote, only knew how to do nails. You know what she knew how to do? She knew how to sit with a client who wanted something very specific, to do the chit chat and to please them about the way their body looked. I mean, that's like golden as far as I'm concerned in real estate. So I want everybody to think of something really quick that they bring to the table, just something that you bring to the table, and we're just gonna go around and say anything that you bring to the table for a seller. John, because you're so amazing, I'm gonna start with you. Something you bring to the table, come on. Then you can sit down.
Oh, Lord. Something I bring to the table.
They're feeding him the answers, guys. What are you, John?
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable. Thank you. He brings knowledge. Have a
Pointing
seat.
out what buyers and inspectors are going to find in their home.
Great. Have a seat.
Education.
Thank you.
Communicator.
Communicator. Love it.
Financial acumen.
Financial
Acumen.
acumen. If you don't know the word, there's a dictionary downstairs. Anything that you bring to the table for a client. Finding a home. Okay. Care. Love that. Team efforts. Okay, great. Thank you. Honesty and transparency. Good one. Analytics. Okay, great. Above and beyond. Okay, fabulous. Optimism. I like that. Great communication and follow-up. That's clutch. Likes to talk about stuff. Okay. Listening skills. Great. Look, knowing how to make people feel good. I like that so much.
I'm a desire to help people feel better about themselves and get to a place where they've been dreaming of.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay.
Knowledge and communication.
Hi. Go ahead.
I'm a good
Okay, great. And knowledge and communication, I like that. I can't hear you, I'm sorry. Caring, I love that. Beautiful. Bring yourself. Okay, thank you. Okay, great. Colleen? Proven success. Love that. You're making people feel comfortable. Information, great. Enthusiasm, nice. Okay, dependable and takes care of people. I like that. Honest communication, beautiful.
To be warm and caring, deliver the need, finding out the need.
Okay, great. Finding their needs and being warm and caring. Oh, nice. Detailed network. Great. Okay. Great negotiator. Wow. Love it. Trustworthy. And great knowledge of the market. This was literally 40 value propositions that are probably valid for a lot of the people in the room. Some people felt shy to share what they're good at. Don't feel shy to share what you're good at. The seller wants to know that you're good at this. Do you have to be good at 110 things? No, you do not. But it's okay to come at it with, I'm really good at whatever it is that you just said. Put that together, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to do it for them. Riley and I were just joking before this, like, what if we had a whole new movement of what's in it for us? No, that really would not work. In this case, we're really like what's in it for them? What's in it for them? And we're really shifting the conversation from not being like, they may say to you, what do you bring to the table? And Colleen would say, I bring a proven track record. And she would really mean it. And she's very serious about it. But on the other hand, when you flip that sentence and you say it like, I bring a proven track record, what that means for you is, because they're trying to interpret what your value proposition, what it does for them, right? Write it down. Write yourself down a value proposition and, live by it, learn by it, do the things that bring you up in order to serve your clients. So, this section of working with listings, the pre-listing section, is kind of really amorphous, and a lot of people do different things. I personally do not. I have at times mailed things out, dropped things off in advance. I definitely email, call, text, those kinds of things. I am currently not in a thing where I'm like running over with personalized water bottles to drop off at the house before I come to the appointment. But there are people who do. And that's great. There are people who send gifts. There are people who send listing packets in advance for the person to look through. There are all kinds of approaches, and none of them is wrong. I'll just throw that out. Whatever works for you in this pre-listing world, I will say that really what I do is communicate via phone, text, and email. That's how I handled before the listing component. Okay, grab your pen again and jot down one thing. As we're talking pre-listing, qualifying a listing, and your unique value proposition, jot down one thing that you could do right now to make this phase of listing a home easier. Meaning from the moment you have the appointment set to the minute you walk in the door, whether that's a day, a week, an hour, 3 weeks, whatever. So you've got to think about your listing proposition, whether you do something for a client beforehand, and how you do their intake over the phone. Once you think about that, what's one thing you could do that could make that area of listing homes easier? Somebody tell me something that they wrote down. Have a checklist. Nice. Have a system. Preparation. This is like the Boy Scout this is the Boy Scout career, right? Always be prepared. Literally, like I feel like we could all, this is, how many times did you were like, oh, I could have been a little more prepared. That would have been better, you know? I think that's a really valid, really, really, really valid point. Okay. We're about to do the actual listing presentation component. Then we'll take a little break and come back and wrap up. There's a lot of material here and a lot that could be talked about. And I'm going to show you what I have and how I do it. That's not right. It's not wrong. It's how I do my listing presentations. A lot are based on having taken Bold, having learned from other agents in our market center, being in a mastermind with Ben Kinney, just different things all over and over again. So we're on this page here, the consultation, the big picture, but crazily, this section is so long that it goes all the way to the end of this colored piece of paper. So this is like the thickness of the thickness. Okay? Start with me on the first page about knowing your materials and the preparation part, which I really appreciate you saying. What's the number one thing every seller wants to know? Yeah. Yeah, how much? How much? How much? That's how much? How much? You know, how much? And depending on who you're talking to, some people are really, you know, hey, how much am I going to sell my house for? And some people literally are like, can we talk about money? You know, like a little bit shy about to discuss money. So that's okay. That's okay. I am of the school that when you walk into the house, and it's, hi, Mrs. Seller. And then I make a beeline for the table. It's the boss move, in my opinion. Is it okay if we sit here and talk for a few minutes? Well, don't you want to see my house? I would love to see your house. I can't wait. Let's sit down and talk for a few minutes, and then you'll show me around. I do allow them to show me around, typically, even though I find that very tedious, frankly. And every time a seller says, here's a closet, I'm like, gotcha. Here's the kitchen. Funny thing, I keep my sink in the kitchen too. But you know, I know that sounds mean, but it's the reality is that a seller really loves to show you their home. And there is a certain amount of pride, and I just allow them to do it, but I do try, you know, control it a little bit, but I like to sit down and talk first. I find that when you get going on the house tour first, it's like a never ending, it's just never ending. I don't know, man, you're just, you know, you're up in the attic and all of a sudden, have anybody gotten stuck in the master bathroom? You're all stuck in the master. And you're like, okay, this is cool and everything, but could we leave the bathroom to talk? It's hard to get out. And actually, funny truth, my son was on House Hunters a number of years ago, and they all got stuck with the cameraman in the master bathroom. They're all like they're stuck back in there, and then they're like, then finally everybody's like, could we just go? You know, like this. Like somehow you get stuck if you tour the house first. Try to sit down first and have a conversation. You could bring any or all or none of these types of pieces of paper with you, and I'm going to show you what I have on my list, and this is just how I do it. So again, doesn't have to be duplicated, it's just what I do. I have a listing appointment action steps. So this is the checklist for before we go on a listing, what we need for the listing, what I bring with me. It's every single thing that I bring with me. And I go through this and I literally check it off to this day. If you've read the checklist manifesto, they saved whatever number of lives every single time in the hospital by following checklists. When we follow checklists, we know what we're doing, what we're getting done. Here's another pre-qualifying the listing kind of type of script. If you want to ask questions, anybody again who will engage in you in conversation. Somebody just answer for me, please. How did you hear about us? Somebody throw out an answer, just yell. Heard Kobe on the radio. Where are you moving? Somebody else? Shaker. Okay, great. What's making you, what's deciding factor in moving to Shaker? Downsizing. Okay, great. Well, how soon do you have to be there? 3 months, right? You're just going through these conversations in a very natural, normal way. Again, they're not going to be shy to give you the information. They said they wanted to move. You're not prying. You're asking the questions you need to know to be able to do your job. Home fact sheet. When you're walking through the house, you could just be jotting things down. Everybody's going to tell you, wait, honey, did we replace that roof? Was that like 5 years ago or was that 10 years ago now? I can't remember because I was pregnant with so-and-so when, they have these like the memory joggers and you're just kind of involved in the conversation. So you're going through these little kind of things. Property descriptions, just a piece of paper. You could be taking little notes. Most people know that I work analog. I work in a notebook, and I write things down in my notebook. I jot the page number down. I keep it in the index in the back. So typically, I'm not bringing this exact piece of paper, but it's a good idea to have paper with you. How many times have I gone on an appointment and I somehow didn't have a pen or a piece of paper? Like, this is not a good look. Not a good look. Really not a good look. Because you want to know what, in the end of the day, I know you got your notes on your phone because I keep notes on my phone too. It's just the seller doesn't feel it. The seller, and just, I don't know, the seller feels like you're texting when you're writing your notes down. So I just feel like writing on paper is super useful. Let's say you got the listing signed. Here's a little listing summary form. What actually is it? What did you commit to? Did you commit to open houses? Is it vacant? Are there people who have to be notified of this and that and the other thing? Did you schedule photos while you're there? Is there a sign? Is there a lockbox? Oh, pro tip, I never remember the sign, by the way, or the lockbox. Someone's like, oh, I'll be back tomorrow. But keep a sign and a lockbox in your car so you don't have to do that and have the stuff with you. I'm ready to go today. If you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. So you could just, you got the stuff, got a sign and a lockbox in my car right this minute. Showing instructions. How often did you walk away? Yes, I got that sign. And then you're like, wait, how do we get into the house again? So just allow yourself to write down how you actually get into the house, who wants to be called, and how they want to be contacted. This one checks their email. That one only texts. This one prefers a phone call, whatever, This one, there's a dog. It's just different, everybody's got their own little shenanigans. So, yeah, Heidi. Did they get the right to approve or decline?
Yes.
Well, if they're occupied, they have to approve.
But do you give them access to showing time, or do you normally just text them and say, hey, is this time okay?
No, I give them Michelle. We give them access through showing time. Yeah. But I say it right up front. Oh, I use a showing service. Everything's an app these days, right? You just explain. I mean, if it was somebody my mom's age, I might say and she's totally tech savvy, but she's not downloading 1,000 apps. I might be like, would you mind if I call you, when we have a showing request? But it's you can't have 5 or 10 listings and try to manage all the showings. You will drop them through the cracks. Oh, I love that. Thank you. So that idea was to take a screenshot of every showing that was accepted for that day and send it to the client each evening for the next day. That's fabulous. Thank you. That's a great tip. Somebody mentioned a shifting market, changing markets, and skill sets. And I would say that one skill in a shifting market is addressing pricing. And I had my first listing in a very long time that I had to do multiple price reductions on in this last couple of weeks. Yes, it did eventually sell. It's so good to have that conversation up front. So good. And the conversation simply goes, we're going to market your house at this price. If we see that it doesn't sell in 21 days or so, I'm going to recommend a price reduction of, and typically I recommend 10%. Then they fall off their chair. Literally, they're like, oh my God, 10%? I listed this house at $400 and you think I'm going to list it now for $360? Well, guess what? If you ask for 10%, You're okay if you got 5 or 7%, something like that. Literally, I mean, who here when they got licensed thought you were only negotiating a deal? Turns out half of the negotiations are with your own clients, right? Literally. So setting up your price reductions in advance is something you can do. You can set them up. You can at least set the stage. You don't have to sign anything even, but like you're setting the stage. Letting you know, I also always say like this, I see the average market time in Beechwood right now is about 15 days. So if your house is on the market, and there's always some outlier that's been on the house market like 250 days, right? It's like if your house is on the market 250 days, you will hate me at the end of this process. And then they laugh. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Art, you?
About, you said negotiating with your client. How do you present negotiating with your client and not seem self-serving in that process?
How do you negotiate with a client and not seem self-serving? Okay, so let's flip that for a second. How would one feel self-serving? Because you're trying to get paid at the end, is that what you mean? Or
They can look at it like that, or they look at you being out for yourself and you're not supporting them.
right.
Representing them properly.
Art, I'm here to sell your house today. I know that we have to list your house first, but I'm not here to list your house. I'm here to sell your house. And I would be remiss in my job if I didn't just tell you the truth, which is that your house in today's market is going to sell for $250, not $350.
I think that's like giving the house away. Even now,
Pause on the script for a second. He said it feels like giving the house away. I've thought for many, many, many years, like 16 years, that I was going to turn my phone on the minute somebody said it was going to be like a those animal capture videos. I was going to capture the video of somebody saying, "Oh, I'm not going to just give it away," and I'd have them all strung together. It happens in every single listing appointment, no matter what. I'm not going to just give it away. I don't care if you're a man or woman, old, young, high price, low price, whatever it is. I'm not going to just give it away is like, I think, the most common objection. You're right. You're right. Unfortunately, pricing it where you want it to be doesn't equal the price that you're necessarily going to get. Because you know who controls the market, right? The consumers. The consumers do. So have you been to the grocery store lately? Did you buy butter? Okay, so I know that in the summer butter was like $3.50 a carton. For the whole pound was $3.50. Now we're like around $5. So you might be shifting to margarine. So if you're shifting to margarine as a consumer, that's okay. You made that choice, but you don't want to pay $5 for the butter. It's just the same thing in a house, which is that if the pricing of your house should be $250 and you price it at $3.50, that buyer's going to look elsewhere. I don't want you to be the butter that doesn't sell. I want your house to be the one that actually sells. Did that sound self-serving? It's not. It's not. Ultimately, I think one thing that's interesting, we have to get over thinking that we're being self-serving. We're not being self-serving. They asked us to sell their house. How can you sell their house if,
Great analogy, by the way.
Thank you. But you could do any product. I just happen to love butter, so. Pick your own product. It's your pick your own journey kind of thing. Okay. The next stuff, that's the Keller Williams University materials, has, all the steps of prioritizing needs, appointments, walkthroughs, adopting the right mindset. What does adopting a yes mindset mean, by the way? What does that mean? Yeah, being confident that you can walk in and gather some small yeses all along the way until they actually list with you. I have been accused many times, of not liking the house enough that I was in. So I find it, when Art said he didn't want to sound self-serving, so I feel like that's something you just have to get over. My limited mindset tells me that I don't want to be fake. And if they show me something that I think is ugly, I'm like, huh, okay, cool. You know, but it's insulting to people. Like, it's insulting. So you got to really like the house. I have not gotten listings before. They were like, well, we didn't really feel like you know, like you liked the house. So part of me feels like, who cares? I mean, you could sell water bottles if you were put in the right position, right? But so there is a little bit of that. Yeah, I want to hear mindset shift of how you adopt a house. Colleen?
So I think when you sit at the table and have that conversation with the seller, having those, once you go on the tour, I'm one that goes on the tour first.
You go on the tour first, okay?
I want to sit down and say the positive and negatives.
Okay.
I don't want to say negatives, but what consumers
Detractions.
find appealing to them, because you're going to see this in feedback. And when they get the feedback, they can't say, oh, well, why didn't you tell me this?
Right.
I can't help where your house is. I can't help the layout. I can't help the structure. But I can't help purple bedroom. And you can't help, you know, if you get consistent things like that, that they're challenging. So I definitely think if you're setting yourself up and having those conversations with the sellers, whether it be positive or negative, then they're not so taken back by it, because you've already, the expectation is there.
So I also, interesting point about the expectations, two things about that. One is that, and I hope everybody of every age understands that this is not a slight to a particular age, but I use this analogy, which is that I do feel like when I'm with a young couple specifically, their standards for what a good house is, or young people, I should just say, standard for what a good house is not what their grandmother's standard for a good house was. Their grandmothers were happy to buy a house that was, you know, had one bathroom, and they were like excited, right? Because they were like, oh my God, we got a bathroom. you know, so like, I feel like, so I do tell sometimes a seller that's on the other end of the age spectrum, do you know, I want to tell you that who do you think today the buyer for this house is? Oh, it's a, you know, first-time home buyer. Great, you're probably right. And I want to let you know that most of that crowd is looking for, you know, whatever, throw it out, two full bathrooms, or most of that crowd is really looking for an updated kitchen these days. You know, something like that. I'll just throw it out back on the consumer, so it's not really so much on me, because that's feedback that I know I'm going to get. Other trick, which I did learn from the young team, shout out to the young team, tell your sellers that every piece of feedback comes with a secret phrase. And they're not going to hear this phrase. And they're not going to see this phrase. But they have to tack it on to the end of every piece of feedback. So give me a negative feedback from a showing. You were a buyer in a showing. What's the feedback?
Too small.
Too small. Too small, here's the secret phrase, right? For the price. Give me another piece of negative feedback. Throw some out. More work than what my buyer wants. For the price. Give me another one. One more. It's not updated. For the price. Every piece of feedback you get is about the price. Every property is attractive at the right price. I don't care if it's on a busy street. I don't care if, oh, we don't like corner lots. I'm like, okay, you knew that when you got there. You knew it when you looked at it on the MLS that it was on a corner. I mean, oh, you don't like corner lots. For the price. You know what I mean? So anyway, that's a good little tip to tell your sellers in the listing appointment too, that little secret phrase that they'll never hear and they'll never see. But they have to know that every single piece of feedback is about the price. Now, if you would, please turn to the colorful sheets that say why list with us. And I want to explain how this operates in our world. And again, it's not a right or a wrong. If you want to get a house listed, my experience is that people expect paper. How many people have walked in and seen like a thick binder from some other real estate agent, and you're like, oh man, they got the thick binder. There's no thick binder. I don't have any thick binder. I condensed everything down into this. This is my entire listing presentation. I bring in this MLS sheets, I bring Zillow printouts, all the things that are on my checklist that you can see. I bring cost market analysis, whatever they need to go with it. And how does this operate? So it operates that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, basically 5, 6, and then the cover. There's 6 sections and the cover. So straight talk about selling your home. If they want to reach me, they want to reach us, any of us, we're here on the front. Open up. The first thing we're going to discuss is pricing. And as you're putting together a listing presentation, which you can get in Connect, or you can get in, there's a lot and lot, you can buy one on Etsy. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of options for listing packets that, you don't have to go crazy creating things. Whatever question you always get every time should go in the listing presentation. So what's the one mistake I made in this one? I didn't have anywhere to write in the address. Okay, so next time I print these, I'm having an address up here at the top. I bring a Sharpie, and after we've gone through the numbers, I'm going to go through the pricing, the highest comparable, the lowest comparable, and a suggested list price. Might be called a market price, marketing price, different names people use for it, and it might be a range. Then the next thing I'm going to show is, I bet you want to know how much money you're going to actually get from this house, right? And I'm going to go through this. Let's talk money. I'm going to put a proposed sale price. I'm going to minus their mortgage. I'm going to minus their property taxes, their closing costs, their commissions, and the bottom line is in pocket. What do you do? So you got your Sharpie, you've written it all in, then you grab your phone and you snap a picture of it, because they're going to keep this. And that way they know that you still have all the information that you shared with them. All the while, they're going to always ask the same question. What do you do for marketing? And you kind of want to roll your eyes a little bit, right? But I pop down here and I always explain to them, look, we sold, and I throw out some number. If you haven't sold a listing yet, don't stress out. Get the market center numbers. Our market center sold, our office, our brokerage, they won't know the word market center. Our brokerage sold, Mike, how many listings did we sell last year? Okay, we sold over 2,200 listings last year. I know we know how to get a listing sold. But don't worry, your house will always have professional photography. I mean, when was the last time you saw the pictures in a house where they're kind of sideways and the cat tail is in the back? And you're like, what in the world? What are they doing here? What is this? You'll be on all the social platforms. And then I kind of throw my statistics out there a little bit. Oh, I have over 300 subscribers to our YouTube channel. I have thousands of followers on Instagram. We really love social media. Do you know what social media is? And they laugh. I know it sounds funny, but it's okay just to ask people. And you'll be on at least 85 search sites. Now, did you do that? Did you put them on 85 search sites? No. But still cool, right? Their house is going to be on every single search site. And then they'll want to know what things they should fix up. So you've got your home take center stage up here. And then, of course, a nice piece here at the back where you can take them through the process. The education component. Yes?
So when you put your suggested list price,
Mm-hmm.
is that before you talk to them to see if they're going to do anything?
Oh, that's a great question. The question is do I put a suggested list price before I tell them they have to paint the purple bedroom? We might just be talking through that. I literally was in a house this week. It had a really dramatic powder room. We're talking black and a really bubbly stand for the sink, this and that. I don't know. It was kind of, and I was like, shoot, is anybody going to like that? Or it's going to see, I couldn't tell if it was goofy or elegant. You know what I mean? It was halfway between. So you have to kind of play it by ear. You have to play it by ear a little bit. I would love to tell you this house is worth 200. I would tell you that you could get 225 if it had a fresh paint job. You might do something like that. What are the questions? What are the questions do you have about actually factually sitting in a listing appointment and actually at least talking through these components with somebody?
Shoshana, do you have any other suggestions on amazing marketing tools? Say, for example, you're not going to use a professional photographer. Is there something to take the place of that? Or any other suggestions you have?
Is there a reason not to use a professional photographer?
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, it's not, it's expensive. It's expensive.
Yeah.
I just consider it a cost of doing business. I just find the money, I think. That needs to declutter their house, yeah. The last hoarder house I actually bought myself. Then it took 3 dumpsters to empty, and it still isn't refinished because I'm refinishing to move in. But anyway, so that's one option is you could go to let's back up one step. When you go to a listing appointment, just as if you're thinking in the mind shift to becoming an investor, your first question should be, should I buy this? Your second question is, do I have a pocket buyer who might be interested in this house? And your third option could be to actually list it. I mean, of course, you're really there for the seller, so you want to make sure to hit the seller's needs. But that point being said, have you heard about staging? You've heard about staging? Yeah. So what do you think a stager would say about this living room? Yeah, I have some people, when you list your house, I have a vendor list of people that are really good at helping sellers box their stuff up and get it into storage. Is that something you'd be interested in?
I always like to say, I do tell them, okay, it does need to be deeper and personalized, but you are also moving, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's get you 50% there.
Okay, I like that. So you're moving, right? Let's get this stuff boxed and you'll be at least 50% of the way there. Yeah, no, those are very, very, very valid. What else? What other questions about the actual listing appointment?
Getting back to Jen's point, when you sit at the table, I think there's a conversation that needs to exist about if there's a budget for things that maybe need to be improved on from your perspective. What does that budget look like? And, what's most important versus what is not.
Right. It's an interesting thing to both love the house and suggest to somebody that it needs, I call it improvements. It's that's challenging. And budget is hard, right? Budget's really hard, especially for some people that really don't have any money to put into the house at all. In that case, there's nothing like scrubbing everything. Super clean never hurt anybody. I mean, a lot of homes that are just super clean, even if they're not pretty, they have sold. But nobody likes dirty. I will just say, in my experience, really nobody likes dirty. Dirty is just, dirty's rough.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever turned down, I mean, this is kind of going against what you just said, but have you ever turned down a listing for them wanting too much, or if they just not comfortable?
So I have had questions if I've ever turned down a listing for somebody wanting too much. I'm going to say 2 things about that. One is I have declined listings before. 2 specifically. One was a friend, and I said, "Listen, you know something? I want to preserve our friendship, and I feel that you want more for this house than I can actually sell it for. So you go ahead and list, and then and we're still friends." So that's actually really nice. To me, that was a win. And then I also had a listing that this is interesting. I declined. They were furious. They couldn't get it sold. They rented it for years, and they came back to me and listed it with me ultimately anyway. So I'm not saying it's always the happiest conversation, but I'll tell you the flip side is I'm here to say that the reason you have to go on double the appointments of the listings you want. I had a fabulous listing appointment. Wait, did anybody list in the Village this weekend? Just by the way, before I tell the story, no. Okay, so I want to know if my competition is in this room. I went on, I'm not. What village do you mean? So I went on a really what I considered a fabulous listing appointment, and I told the spot on truth about what that house was worth, and I did not get the listing. I did not get it. And I was like, what? For real? They didn't list with me? I couldn't believe it. But, ultimately, in the end of the day, somebody else told them they could get more money for their house. You know what we call that, right?
Another day in the village?
We call that buying the listing. And during the appointment, I have often said to people, I may tell you 200 and this person may tell you 250. I want you to think long and hard about making sure that you're not being sold something that isn't truthful.
One of the podcasts that we listen to, we always recommend people listen to, they talk about saying, I can't negotiate the price of what I do,
Right. Okay. So that's a commission objection. Colleen, you ever gotten a commission objection? Every time? Every single time? Not every time.
We just go through it on the listing agreement, and we just keep talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
10%, that's what it is.
Right. I mean, is anybody, I'm back to this groceries thing, is anybody shocked with the price of groceries? Because I'm like, what the heck, right? I mean, your grocery bill is just insane right this minute. And we haven't changed our commission rate at all in a lot of years. So that's weird. If anything, there's a downward pressure on commission. So we get paid less when everything, like life costs more? I don't know.
Yeah, prices have gone up.
Property prices have gone up?
Getting back to commission, because I just got a call today from the realtor in our office asking about commission. I think it's important for you to bring, from a buyer's perspective, active homes and what they're offering to show your seller
Yes.
what is being offered on the recipient's end. This is live proof, active homes, because that if you want your house sold and shown and sold, then we need to offer X, and this is why we're charging X.
Right.
Brokerage is charging, not me.
There you go.
Well,
This is what, that's good.
like,
That's good.
take all this cash to the bank, which we
Right. I like that. Commission objections, I feel like we could have a whole separate discussion on commission objections, and they're very, very important. Because typically, the reason I put money up front in this is I got tired of being at a listing appointment for an hour, being about to walk out the door, and then they're going like, wait, what do you charge again? Okay, and then I would be like, oh my gosh, circle back around to do the whole appointment again. So now I talk about money straight up front. Right up front, we talk about money. I think it's very important that you're here to do a business transaction. Money is a very important component of it. So that's really why I have money up front, and then we can move on to the fun stuff about whether you should reorganize the bulletin board. You know, I'm just saying, like, you know, staging is important, but talking about what they're actually going to get from their house is an important component of the conversation. Okay, on that note, grab your pen. Write down one thing you could do that will make your listing appointment process easier. Mike, in a minute, will you cue up the music for break? Thanks. Just one thing you could do to make your listing appointment process easier. And had the seller kind of pissed off at them in the middle of the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone. Really glad I'm not alone. Adam, how come?
It was that fantastic attorney deal where the financing wasn't going through and we had to close the loan almost 2 months later.
Did you represent the buyer?
No.
Was it your fault?
No.
Wasn't his fault, didn't represent the buyer, and there was a long delay in closing. Seller was kind of annoyed, reasonably annoyed, right? So, okay, so that's where, what do we want to categorize that as? Sorry? Financing issues. Great. What else? Somebody else give me a different scenario.
Rotting windowsills in the shower behind the tile, and the buyer wants his repaired.
Oh, what do we call those? Starts with an I. What else? Expectations. Were you about to say the same?
Say when they expect you to do repairs or think you should make it.
Okay. Interestingly, I believe that everything that is a seller problem, meaning that the seller has a problem with you, actually falls into this category as an overarching category, and these are all subcategories. Anything else? So I'm going to put this as really our number one. So let's talk about the time you told the seller, the time I told the seller, I'll be in touch with you every week. And then the weeks went by and I forgot about them. What about that seller? What about the seller who kept getting terrible feedback and it was like awkward to convey it, because after a while, What can you, they're sick of hearing how bad their house is, so they're angry at you. How about when the buyer has unrealistic expectations from what's going to happen from the inspections, who are they angry at? You. And when their buyer's financing falls through and you didn't represent the buyer, who are they angry at? You. And when the house doesn't sell for the amount of money that they think it's worth, who are they angry at? You. Okay, me. Say me. Say the word me. Me. They're angry at me. Okay, so assuming that nobody in this room really likes to be the punching bag that you had when you were a little kid, where that fell down and it had the thing that popped back up, you still have to kind of be in that mindset a little bit and kind of get a little tougher or a lot tougher, if you're not tough yet, to be able to say, I understand how painful this is for you. I will see what I can do to resolve it, but not take the blame, the criticism, the seller's issues to heart, because it will crush you. Who knows the words kishka? Anybody here eat kishka? No? Okay, right? Well, it's like really means like your intestines, right? And I say to people sometimes, I'm like, real estate can eat your kishkas out. Because sometimes you go to bed at night and you're like, what the heck? Somebody just spent like an hour screaming at me. What did I do? I didn't create the buyer's financing issues. So I recommend everybody just put their tough skin on. Or if you were like me, a kid in the 70s, and you had those jeans that were called tough skins, you could, I don't know why I had to wear tough skins. I was a girl, but whatever. So, and I don't think I ever ripped the jeans, the knees of a jean. But anyway, so put your tough skin on and go into the conversation as a business person to resolve problems for a seller. So what's the easiest way of a dialogue? Seller's furious. What's the first step we can do to kind of diffuse? Sorry? Empathize. Yeah. Listen. I totally agree. Listen, and empathize. Now, I think that's an interesting word because is it an E or is it an S or a Z? Z, right? Okay. I'm not much of a speller. So it's interesting because most people don't really love sympathy, but they do love empathy. So I think that's a really good choice of words. People don't really want to be like, I don't know, they just don't want that. But the good side of you that's able to empathize with their emotions is really valuable.
I feel like most times when issues come up, you already know that they're coming. So I like to get bad news with at least one or two pieces of good news to lessen the blow.
Okay, so the thing there is that you already knew the bad news was coming. You didn't have to wait for it to be a huge hullabaloo, right? You didn't have to wait for the rockets to go off. You could have probably told a couple of good things and then kind of got, maybe got a couple of bad things in there. That's another approach for sure. Let's talk for 2 minutes, please, about setting expectations. You're in the appointment. Do you like to be contacted by cell or by email or by text? Sarah, what's your favorite? Cell. Great. I'll be giving you a call every week. I'm going to put it in my calendar on Tuesdays. Who cares how they like to be contacted? As long as you're contacting with the way that they want to be contacted, that's the key, right? Would it be okay with you if I texted you? I'm going out of town this weekend. Is it okay if I text you instead of calling? Whatever. Just whatever the thing is. And I will tell you a couple of times, really truly, we lost business, lost actual deals and real business and clients when we went out of town and didn't tell the person. Now, what's it matter? I was going out of town for a weekend. I mean, it's not like anything crazy was going to happen, but they were just pissed off that I hadn't told them. I don't know. So now it's a super clear expectation setting moment. You know what? I'll be visiting my mom in San Diego next weekend. I'm available by phone, but just to let you know, I won't be in town. No big deal, right? No big deal. Also, just for those people that don't know me, I'm Jewish. I don't work Friday nights. I don't work Saturdays. I'm totally off the grid. My phone is off. My email is off. I do not work. And sellers are okay with that. They're fine. But I do tell them up front in the appointment. I say, so I'm really excited to work together. I want to tell you one little piece of bad news, which is I'm not available on Saturdays at all. But I will always make sure that if there's anything exciting going on that I have coverage. And usually there isn't. Somehow it pretty much always works out. So I've only had one crazy thing that happened on a Saturday. So that's good. I consider that really pretty good. Can we talk for just 1 second? Could everybody flip to the Keller Williams University, page 82? know that when these materials were written, Keller Williams was still using the system called E-Edge. So if you see the words E-Edge in there, don't stress out that you don't know what it is. You can easily get around it. Because, like I said, sellers always want to know what you do to market a home. Make your list. Make your list. Have it ready. It could be pretty and printed out. It could be something you have just typed up on a piece of paper. Anything. But they want to know what you're doing to market their home. And whatever it is, you know, and even saying to them, you know, I'm part of a 450-person brokerage. I'm going to blast it out to the agents right there for starters. And then do it. Make good on your promises that you're going to do. Make your list of stuff that you're going to do for them so that they know that you've actually taken care of things. Now, I think everybody in this room, I believe, with possible one exception, was licensed. Oh, no, that's not true. Every single person in this room was licensed in this last summer. And, I mean, did anybody have to market a listing this last summer? Did they just sell? No, have to? No. What price do you want to sell it at? I don't know, whatever you want. And this is your whole listing presentation. Hi, what's your name? Shoshana. Oh, great. Can I list my house at this? Sure. Do you need to do anything to get it sold? No, not really. I mean, there wasn't that much to have to do. But it's a weird, if you've been through like any more than one cycle of selling real estate, right? You have different things for different markets. I don't think it's unreasonable for a seller to want you to work for them, given that we do get paid handsomely for the work that we do. Of course, sometimes we get paid, feels like almost nothing for our job, but sometimes we get paid a lot of money for something that wasn't, like hours-wise, quite as challenging. So come up with your list, make your list, and bring that in, and have your price reductions ready, have your marketing ready, have it what you do ready for them. Okay, let's talk about getting an offer for a second, please. And I would like to just kind of move forward to page 95. You get an offer. It's so exciting. It's in your email. And what do? Right to the price. You go look at the price. Okay, you look at the price. Do you ever forget to look about whether there's seller closing costs or whether it's some weird date or a lender you've never heard of or, yeah, whoops. Most of us move with like lightning speed. I would recommend slowing down for a few minutes, really actually reading through the offer. Allow yourself to truly understand the offer because it's super easy to call your client and go, guess what? We got that offer for $150 we were waiting for. And then you're like, ooh, it's actually $145 because I forgot to see that they had $5,000 in closing cost credit. Ugh. So that's awkward to do that. But there's a few best practices around presenting offers. You were going to say?
I'm a person that if I write it down, I remember it.
Okay.
So I usually just go through the offer line by line and I jot everything down.
Nice.
And then when I talk with my seller, I have it right in front of me.
You make like an offer summary. By the way, when you're presenting offers that have a closing cost credit, so let's use that $145, $150 example, the easiest way to present it to your seller is, Mrs. Seller, I want to let you know that we have an offer of $145. It's framed as an offer for $150 with a $5,000 credit to the buyer because they have chosen to finance their closing costs. There is not a seller in the world that doesn't think that they're giving money to the buyer. I'm giving them $5,000. Well, no, actually, they're paying for the $5,000 every single month for the next 30 years, you know, but it's your job to educate them on these things. It's your job to become a little bit knowledgeable. You don't have to be Sean Hadley, but you got to be a little bit knowledgeable about the loans. You got to be a little bit knowledgeable about local lenders. You got to be a little bit knowledgeable about other loan products that are out there that you might not have heard of that are still great and useful for your clients. So this was the summer, this was the season of the crazy number of offers, right? Spreadsheets of 16 and 20 offers and what do we do and getting them wrong and forgetting somebody's offer and I mean just crazy stuff, like crazy, it was crazy madness and your sellers accepting offers and then other people being angry. Okay, so this is again back with the expectations. Miss Colleen's laughing. Do you have anybody angry?
No.
Never. They were so happy because they got a lot of money for their house. They got a lot of. Were the other agents angry that they didn't get it? Very, very, very. So.
On the recipient end of time, so.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel good. And this is our chance, literally, to look at the Keller Williams belief system. If you don't have it front and center every day in your head, don't stress out. It's there in Google. And remember a couple of pieces, which is to engage with the other agent in a win-win or no deal mindset. Because how many times are you on the phone with another agent and they seem to be advocating for themselves, not for the client? You're like, that's a little bit weird. Well, let's see what we can do to get this deal together, right? Did your client respond that way, or are you responding that way? So when we adopt a win-win mindset and we really kind of, take your brain through these things. I mean, one thing that's weird about mission statements to me is like, part of them a little bit is trite and part of them is so true and spot on. And this is so spot on to have the win-win or no deal mindset when you go into this. So you have an offer. Let's go with one offer. You got one offer. You review it. I like the Maria. You write it down. You can do any number of things. You review it. Do you drive over and meet your client? Do you just send it an email? You text them? What do? You pick up the phone. Okay. You call. Colleen, when you first got licensed, wasn't everybody presenting in person still?
My very first offer, I presented in person, shared agreement.
Yeah.
I really went office. I was scared shitless. I literally sat there with the seller. I had the buyer, and I had to present the offer. I was sweating. I was so nervous.
And we had 5,000 copies of the offer because we had one for this spouse, one for this spouse, one for the other agent, one for ourselves, and we're explaining our way through it. And then we would leave the room. Excuse me, I'll step out for a minute. And you'd take your BlackBerry and you'd walk out and you'd call your client. I conveyed the offer. I told them I conveyed the offer. And then you'd wait for them to respond. And yeah, it was really nerve-wracking. It was a whole other thing. This one other agent that I did it, I won't say the name right this minute, but came and had this massive Louis Vuitton bag, like it was like literally like a suitcase. You guys, it was like taller than me. And she plunked that thing on the table. And I kid you, and I had the listing, she had the buyer. I kid you not, she was not budging until they signed. She sat there like this with this huge bag, like this huge, expensive, thousands of dollars. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so scary. What am I supposed to do? It was hard to explain why it was very nerve-wracking, but it was it was really, really different. So yeah, I think you're okay to call your client. Hey, would you like me to stop by? Would you like me to stop by? It's also good to call the other agent first. Hey, Sarah, thank you so much for writing we just had this actually. Thank you so much for writing an offer on one of my listings. Can you tell me a little bit about the buyer? So they really love the home. I hear words like that. She says that she has a couple who's downsizing and they really love the home. Then when I call my client with the not fabulous price, I'm able to go, guess what? They really love the home. It feels so good, right? It feels so good for somebody to love your home. How nice is that? So there's a few little human connection points in presenting an offer to your seller. The dates are critical. Credits are critical, inspections are critical, and the price obviously is critical. And I think, like Jeremy said first, even though he was joking, we look, straight to the price. Every seller just wants to know the number. Every seller just wants to, tell me what I'm getting out of this. Tell me what I'm getting. And so I always do tell them, by the way, that we're going to do some back of the envelope math here. Oh, you are going to sell your house for $200,000? I'm going to tell you to lop off 10% right now. How much is that? $20,000. So we're going to take off $20,000, and that's going to give you a very rough estimate of what you'll have in pocket. Now, here's the really cool news. The really cool news is it's not really 10%. It's never really 10%. They don't know that much on property taxes. Your commission isn't 8%. The closing costs aren't that high. You're going to be pleasantly surprised when you get to the closing table that the number is actually going to be higher than 180. But back of the envelope math, before I've worked any numbers up, I'll let you know that this is, pretty much where you are. And I use that 10% number all the time because everybody can do 10% in their head.
So you don't provide a net sheet?
I do, but I'm just saying, like, let's just say you're just kind of like on the fly. If you're kind of on a fly thing, I just let you know. I'll get you the exact numbers in the next couple of hours, but so I have a rough number for you. I want to let you know we'll be just a little north of 180. Yeah. You know that net sheets are free on both the MLS and the Greater Metropolitan Title Company website. So there's at least two places to get those. Okay. What happens when you get a really crummy offer on a listing? What does the seller say?
I'm not allowed to say that in public.
Crummy? No, you can't say crummy. Can't say crummy in public.
No, what the sellers say to me.
Oh, what the sellers say. Jeremy won't say it. What the sellers always want to do. Reject. I reject this. We're done. I reject this. So what's your job? Yes. Top. Win-win. Win-win. You know what I recommend? I recommend that we at least respond. I recommend you respond. How are you going to have them respond?
1,000.
Okay, but technically, try to get them to respond in writing. Try to get them to sign the offer at the new price, or at the original price, or however they're responding. Really work your hardest to get a signed counter offer. It is mega unfun to go back verbally, back and forth, and have it taken away. Mega, mega, mega not fun. So work your hardest to get a signed counter offer. You can do it on, obviously, dot loop, 1,000 different ways you could do it. You can just change the price and have that initialed. You can erase all the signatures and whatever. There's a million technical things like that, but try to get a counter offer. What do you do with a buyer, when you have a buyer who says, I have to have a response by noon? What's your go-to? You've never had a buyer deadline and your seller is trying to decide?
I would you can ask for an extension. I'm see your offer, thank you for the offer. My seller's at work right now or whatever the situation, but we'll definitely get back in touch with you later today.
Yeah.
Just let them know at least.
Yes. Acknowledgement is everything. And let's all sing together. Signed, sealed, delivered. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Signed, sealed, delivered. Okay, no, seriously, deliver. Thank you. Whoever came in with the last line, I appreciate it. The delivery, is the delivery how we actually get the offer done? Nod yes. Nod yes. Is signed anything? Wave your head no. I actually had a client who was, still to this day, so unhappy about what happened, but I had a signed offer. My father-in-law had just passed away. My head was, I don't know where my head was, not focused, obviously. And I just didn't get it to the other agent. I just didn't send it. I don't know. I told her we'll accept it, and it got signed, but somehow I just didn't send it. And in the short little time, they got a better offer. And my client was going to get kicked out. So in the end, I took 0 commission, and she got it because I basically paid for her to be able to get the house. But everybody was furious at me. And I was like, okay, screwed up. I don't know what to say. I screwed up. Delivery is everything. So you have it all signed, every little thing, every initial, everything. Unless you've sent it over, it isn't done. So make sure that you actually get it done. So the negotiations, though, back to that, the negotiations, and you're in this win-win thing, you got to get your client to respond. Some clients are super fast. Anybody have a quickie? Like the client's like, yep, let's do this. Those are cool, right? And how about when you get to that impasse? You got like $2,000 or something dumb, $1,000 between you and the other sale, the buyer and the seller. What do you do? What do you do? Nobody's ever had a tight negotiation where nobody would budge?
Usually I just try to say, hey, let's everybody just meet halfway.
Okay. One approach, meet halfway.
Compromise.
I guess it's depending, like, what was the first offer,
First offer, best offer. Okay.
Or to say, do you really want to lose this buyer or
Okay. I like that.
It'll be a sign.
For less than cost of coffee a day, we got a deal.
Oh, I like that. I usually use a pizza a month, so that's good. Coffee a day. I like that. Coffee a day. I use pizza a month. Go ahead. Colleen, you were going to say?
That's how I break it down.
Yeah.
$5 for every 1,000, $10 a month long term. Well, not in maybe this interest rate, but
Yeah.
you know, and then when you break that down, they're just
It's just not that much money, right? It's just really not that much money. But you're representing, got to represent your client. I will also tell you a little trick, which is literally every single time I pick up my phone in a negotiation, I say to myself, who do I represent? It's super easy by accident to represent the other party. By accident, you don't mean to, but all of a sudden you're going, well, they really want it for $250 or whatever the number is, And all of a sudden, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, I represent the seller. I want to get you the best price. So, then you're like the conversation just shifts. So really thinking in your negotiations, who you represent, how to get them to come together, and how to get everything signed and then sent over. The other little thing I would say of this is, let's talk about, that's my final number. When you hear that, what do? Keep asking. Keep asking. Just keep asking. Because, and I keep pointing to Sarah, but Sarah and I were in this wackadoo negotiation this summer that kept having a final number. Well, no, that was like 5 final numbers ago for both parties, you know what I mean? And we're still working on it. It isn't done. But, final number to me means let's sleep on it. Final number means we'll talk about it tomorrow. Let's take a breather from the negotiations for a minute. Then sometimes they've consulted a family member, they've thought about it, they talked to their financial advisor, whatever. Turned out not to be so bad. Final number is not final number in negotiations in my book. Because often, and who said that you should pay for the inspection? That you should pay for inspection items? Well, that's the other thing, is that sometimes they'll think that you should bridge the gap with your No, you worked hard for this, and I'll say what I usually tell people. They'll say, well, would you, I hear that coming, would you, and I know it's coming, so I just let them finish the sentence. I say, you know what, I've got a house, and I got a lot of repairs that I could redo too with the money, so I think, this is your house. No. No. I like some of these things here too are to control what you say, meaning keep your cool, come at this, communication, seek first to understand, ask questions. He and she who asks the questions controls the conversation. You want to control the conversation, you ask the question. Well, you don't like the price of $250, Mike? How badly? Remind me, you told me you were like at a 10 out of 10 of selling. Is that still true?
Yes.
Let's think about that number a little bit then, okay? Oh, he's so easy. I can't wait to sell his house. Okay, that's good. Contract sent over. We all talked about that. Changes are all good and gone. And now you're in contract. Woohoo! You're practically paying for, you're buying the new hot whatever. Did you get paid yet? No. Did they have their inspections yet? No. Did you say congratulations to everybody? Yes. Including yourself. You're like, new sale in January. Okay, this is awesome. And So how can we keep the deal together? Couple quick ideas. Somebody throw something out that they like to do when they're keeping a transaction together. Stay on top of your Stay on top of title and loans. Okay. Sorry, say that one more time.
The date of the contract.
Meaning when the inspections are. It's pretty easy to ask for a couple extra days, but it's a drag if you miss the period, the inspection period, and then the seller's pissed off. That's not a good look. But if you say, look, you know what, it's Thanksgiving this week, do you mind if we give them 8 days instead of 7? We'll get that in writing. Usually it's not a big deal. It's really not. But yes. Okay, dates, lender and title, and what's the big one? Earnest money. Thank you. Is it a license violation to not collect earnest money? Everybody nod yes. And remember that you must collect your earnest money. Harass them, email them, text them, bug them until they actually put it in. It's important.
Submit on time, notify the other agent that it's not having that.
Right. Protect yourself. Protect yourself. The whole way we get paid literally was that 3 weeks at Hondros College, as funny as it may sound, but it could be undone so easily, and there's no reason for it to. And when anybody offers anything like a little sideways or whatever, I'm always like, do you understand how I get paid? The entire way I get paid is my license. No, we're not going to tell you it doesn't violate the license. No. So keep your earnest money in mind. Definitely keep your earnest money going. And then what is on page 3 of the contract? That's like inspections. Okay, right? So here we're down to inspections. This is a super win-win or no deal. And back to the expectations that you set up front. When was the last time you were in a house that you knew the inspections were not going to go well?
Every time I'm in Ohio City.
Jeremy says every house he's ever sold. Anybody ever just been in a house, you're like, oh, this is not going to be a good look. These inspections are going to be rough. So you got to set the expectations with your seller, right? Hey, the buyer's probably going to ask for that crack in the basement to be repaired. Would you like to have a structural engineer come in advance to look at it so that we know what we're talking about? You just ask a question, set an expectation. Hey, the buyers are going to get in here and those wet stains on the ceiling, they may call it the roof. If I was a buyer, I'd want to know what those are. So you're setting the expectations around your inspections. I was surprised this week. I had a closing. Back to Sarah, and I had a closing. And I was surprised that despite the fact that I had emailed the title company about 3 or 4 times that Mr. and Mrs. Seller lived in different states, the day of closing, they're like, oh, nobody told us. So kind of keep on these things. There's a nice little checklist here, kind of tasks and when. I don't know if they're 100% relevant to Ohio per se, but you want to keep all our little kind of pieces flowing. Keep the pieces of the transaction flowing. If you're an individual agent, this is a really crucial time for the contract. If you are on a team, typically most of the teams take care of these things. If you're thinking about growing a team, the cool thing is do it in advance and have it all shored up so that it can just flow really nicely for any agent that you may add down the road, and they would be all set to go in these kind of transaction steps. And then we have this other fun thing. Anybody ever had a contract fallout? So the entire probably first 13 or 14 years of being licensed, I counted 25% of contract fallout. That means if I wrote 10 deals, 2.5 of them fell out. It's hard to have 2.5 fall out, but that means literally for those years of 100 deals, 25 of them did not close, usually for one of these reasons. So right in the last 2 years, though, I would say that contract fallout rates are very, very low. Well, that's 2 words, isn't it? Super low. The fallout rate for the contracts in this last year is probably closer to 10 or 15%, if that. Because there's so little on the market that the buyers don't want to give up their houses. They're not willing to, or they're not even having inspections. So there's no contract fallout is just not as, but this is an interesting thing. And then it can be also with sellers, because we're really talking about sellers, how many that you list will actually sell. So I did my numbers just a week ago. Of all the houses I listed this year, 15% did not sell, meaning they were withdrawn from the market or I don't know, you know, whatever, shenanigans, just different things. But 15, meaning that you really need to list more houses than you want to sell in the first place. So when you're setting your listing goals, you need more listings so you can have some of them sell, and then some of them will unfortunately have some slender rate, hopefully, of fallout. Has nobody here had a contract fall apart? Not one person in this room? Never? Yes? Yes, but and not so much in the last couple of years, right? It's been a luxury, don't you think? This is the new luxury market. If you want to talk to Colleen Miklas about luxury market, the luxury is not having your deals fall apart. It's so luxurious. It is a beautiful thing. But again, in the planning for in the planning for the worst case scenario kind of thing, plan for some deals to fall out, because some will fall out. It's just the reality, and you want to make sure that you get paid and actually get to close.
Some of that stuff you can avoid too, talking to the lender or the buyer before you accept the offer.
Yes. When was the last time a buyer went and leased a car 5 minutes before closing? Yeah, Jeremy's out there like wringing necks if they do that. They bought a big batch of furniture. I mean, they're moving. It's exciting, right? New appliances, bought them on credit. No, do that. Don't do that. Set their expectations to hold, lay low on the financing for just a minute, please. And then, like last night I said to my husband, we're expecting a big medical bill from our daughter. And I said, hey, please make sure to pay that bill on time or just make sure to give me the bill so that it gets paid on time, because I don't want our credit screwed up for the bill. He's like, wait a minute, are we buying another house? No, I don't know. I don't want the credit screwed up from some medical bill. Okay. Given the offer, presenting the offer, keeping the transaction together, and setting your seller expectations, grab your pen and write down one thing you could do to make that portion of being a listing agent easier. So we're talking about getting an offer, presenting an offer, keeping your transaction together, working with the other agent, deals that fall out, setting expectations. Okay, everybody hold your pen, hold your fictional paycheck in your hand. I hope you've all gotten paid because your seller listing has closed. That check, the file was complete, the check was deposited, and you've got the money. You've made your house payment, bought new jeans, made your car payment, whatever it is that you're looking to do, funded your retirement account, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What happens to the client? Goodbye, I got the money. Is it like that, or is it something else? Do not ignore your database. Oh, I like that. We can be friends. Do not ignore your database. I'm here to tell you that the word system, which is an anathema to most real estate agents because we feel like, oh, we don't like systems. We don't operate on systems. Our brains don't work that way. We say things like that. The system, working a system, a CRM, contact relationship manager, and finding a system that works for us and for your clients is clutch. Absolutely clutch. So what's the name of the game here? The name of the game is, who knows who's looked recently? What's the NAR statistic about how often people move? 8 years? 7, 8 years? Okay. Every 7 or 8 years, somebody moves. So what happens in year 7 when they don't remember who you are anymore? They're on to somebody else. They're on to somebody else. I mean, my gosh, it's so heartbreaking. I mean, right? You're like, aw, I thought we really liked each other. I thought we were friends. I thought I knew you. I thought something, I don't know, I guess I was wrong. So that's like heartbreaking. So anything you do, it's worth putting a system around. And I'm here to also to tell you that after being in real estate for 16 years, I finally wrote a templated letter this week to investors. Why did it take me 16 years? And why did I keep sending out that same information, not in a templated letter? That's what I'm talking about. I wrote a templated letter to investors, which was like financing, don't ask me to tell what neighborhoods you should be in, can be your financial advisor, happy to show you homes. I'll need, proof of fund, I'll need a proof of funds and a picture of your ID before we go. Because, I don't know, these people come out of the woodwork, I have no idea who anybody is. So, et cetera, et cetera. And I just wrote this whole template so that I have it, and now I can like edit, tweak for future investors. That's a system. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as a letter that you could use over and over again. But a system post-closing is some way for you to still remember your client and your client to still remember you. Because I'm telling you, it is a little bit awkward when you're in Target and they're like, hi, remember me? And you're like, not really. Remind me? That's just also like not a good look. Really, really, really not a good look. What's a good look is, I love doing business with you. Can we get coffee? Oh, great. You don't drink coffee? No big deal. Can I buy you an iced tea? Whatever. You like ice cream? So something like that. Great. Because next month I'm going to be doing something else. Hey, how are you? Just calling to say happy 2023. I hope it's a great year for you and your family. That's it. Whatever your plan is, and there's all these, the idea of the touch campaign, don't really touch. It's not that world anymore. This is mentioning sorry, bad joke. It's mentioning a 33 touch. You could have a 60 zillion touch. It doesn't matter. You need a plan in order to keep in touch with your people. Because there is nothing like turning around and that client who you loved so much did their next piece of business with somebody else. And because they love you, they're going to refer to you. And when you're in the listing appointment, you go, you know what, I hope that we work together so well that you send your mom to me, your siblings, or you got a lot of siblings, so that's gonna be a lot of business, and, et cetera. Like, I really wanna be your family real estate agent, not just your real estate agent. And then make good on it, really make good on it. So the options are endless. I'm happy to talk about this. I could talk about this ad nauseum, as could Riley. We've worked really hard to make sure that we have a robust way of keeping in touch with our clients. And, I just cannot emphasize it enough. Let the CRM do the heavy lifting. If you don't have the Keller Williams, jot this down. If you don't have DTD2, you can easily get it. It's, got the D in there. Do the database too. It's 2 people a week to call, 1 person to text. There's different letters of the alphabet every week. Makes it super easy. You go through your phone, you go through your CRM, you know who to call. Then you put them on another call reminder for 90 days. I mean, whatever, just keep up with people. Keep up with people, keep up with people, keep up with people, because they'll forget you pretty fast and you'll forget them, and that is sad. So on that note, grab your pen one last time, please. And write down one thing you could do to make post-close keeping in touch with a client easier. Good, and as we wrap, I got a couple of things. I'm going to ask you, to make sure you scan the handy dandy evaluation form with your phone and fill it out for me. And the floor is open for questions, so don't be shy. What do you want to know about winning with sellers?
Do you have a system or specific or exact task the way that you approach getting reviews?
That was on my list to talk about. Thank you. The question is reviews. And I do have a specific way that I go about asking for reviews, and I actually meant to talk about that, so thank you. Get your Google profile as fully set up as possible. Google yourself or your business name, however you want to do it. Fill it out. get pictures, get your hours, get your websites, get your this, that, the other thing, your social platforms. Get your stuff so people can Google you. I used to work really hard on my Zillow reviews, and then I was really nervous that Zillow was gonna kind of like, you know, go off the deep end and try to like sell them back to me or something, kind of the way Yelp does. And I was just like, oh, I think I'm not doing that, but everybody knows Google. And so I started focusing solely on Google reviews. It came to my attention actually this summer that it's not a good time at closing to ask for reviews. Because yeah, everybody's stressed. Nobody cares if you did a good job. They can't, you know, or if you had even one misstep, believe me, they remember that you did a bad job. So it's a really good, in the middle of the transaction when something good has happened, let's say you've just signed the offer. Hey, would you mind if I send you my Google link, would you please give me a 5-star review? And I just ask for it straight up. I don't say, will you review me? Can I get a 5-star review from you? Now, they may not give me 5 stars, but I kind of planted the seed, right? Or we just signed the removal of contingencies. Oh, I'm so excited. We just got that removal of contingencies signed. I'm sending you my link. Can I get a 5-star review from you? And I literally will hound people. I mean, I see them at my synagogue. I'm like, I didn't get a review from you. Did I get a review from you? I'm sending you my link tomorrow for my review, okay? You know, and then I try to be a good citizen back. The next time you use a plumber, an electrician, your dentist, whatever, give them a review. You give them a review. We all love reviews, you know, and try to make it, I mean, obviously don't lie that, don't give a positive review for a negative service, but, you know, yeah. And then you're able to say to your clients in your listing appointment, I have over 100 positive Google reviews. So I even had to use that in an Airbnb reservation recently. You can easily look me up on the major platforms and see that I have over 100 positive reviews. So yeah, that's how I do that. What else? Questions?
How many times throughout the transaction do we ask for referrals? Like, do you have a certain?
Oh, that's a really good one. So, you know, I have never been super as purposeful about that probably as I should be. I know a lot of people are very good at asking for referrals at this point, like at the different signposts of the listing. So I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that that's how I do it, but I definitely, you know, keep it front and center here and there. And like I say, I'd love to be your whole family's real estate agent. I just keep it, you know, keep it like that. But that's a great question. Okay, before we wrap, a couple of takeaways. Go to your list, the things you wrote down. And I want to know one thing that you'll do based on today's class. Don't be shy, yell them out.
Set up my tasks properly in the week.
Set up his tasks. I love that. Tasks in your CRM are crucial. Crucial. Love that. Really. Sorry, say it again. Update your listing presentation. Okay, fabulous. Sorry, say again? Brand her listing presentation. I love that. Okay. Stay on top of the transaction. Being purposeful and talking to them. I love that. It's so important. If I showed you a list of my transactions, can I show you a visual? If I showed you a list of our transactions from 2022, it would go like this. It would go, you know, most, whatever, like this, most and least, right? And I have a ton of lead sources that are like, then I have Sphere that is like this. Literally, this is the way my lead generation looks. I'm not lead generation, my deal source, sorry. You know, got a couple of things that are like this. And then it goes down like it's practically flat. It's crazy. And it's all because of talking to my database, literally, entirely. So this database, Sphere, past clients, and getting Sphere referrals cannot be emphasized enough. What else? Something else you wrote down? Follow up. Love it.
Stronger pre-appointment checklist.
Okay. Pre-appointment checklist. So you don't show up at the appointment and go like, this is not what I thought it was. What?
I didn't know that, or something.
Right, right. So, in the interest of being in a public location where I won't swear, I'll say something, one other little thing that when Mike said the pre-listing checklist, well, just, nobody knows what that stands for or anything. So I call it your BS meter, right? And your BS meter has, sometimes your BS meter is over here and you didn't, like, it's not refined. And so you show up at appointments that are unqualified, and you drove to the middle of nowhere for somebody who can't possibly sell, and all these things because you didn't do the things. You didn't. Your BS meter wasn't a refined BS meter. Then your BS meter can get really, really good. So you're really hardly ever, and that's somewhere in the middle, obviously. So you're hardly ever going on an appointment that's unqualified, or maybe even never, right? So this is like a crucial thing to refine it so that you're constantly getting better at having only really super qualified appointments. You were going to say something?
Maybe this goes back to qualifying better, but I've been on appointments where you show up and maybe the husband is like not engaged, she's in the other room dicking around with something, the wife's sitting at the table with you and you're like, what am I doing? He doesn't even want to be here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why I'm here. How do you deal? Have you ever been on?
Oh no, I've never been on an appointment like that ever. So, yeah, I've been on appointments where literally the other person was like, like this the entire time. So yeah, it's challenging. I've been on appointments. I mean, the only time I really have to say I'm really to this day not proud of myself for this is I was in an appointment where somebody was abusive to their child and I didn't stand up and walk out the door. And I am to this day, and I didn't even want to know the worst part of it, I didn't even get the listing. But I should have just stood up and said, you know what, we're not a good fit for each other. Yeah. So if you see something weird or, untoward, I would just say, keep your personal standards intact.
Not to that extent, but if someone's just not engaged or they're not is there a way to kind of bring them in?
Jeremy, you called me in. You called me in here to list your house today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does your spouse want to sell as badly as you do, or?
I thought he did. She did.
Is there a chance? Is there a chance? Is there a way to speak to both of you at the same time?
You know what? Let me go talk to them.
I would just ask straight up. Yeah.
Kind of goes into making sure ahead of time that all decision makers be at your
Crucial question. Are all decision makers going to be there today? Tomorrow?
Yeah, there, right.
There, but not there. One more takeaway. Oh, good. Questions are good too.
If you're dealing with like a for sale by owner and they say, well, I'm going to wait 30 days or however many days before I went on this with an agent because I think I can sell it for myself. How do you?
I love this question, and I'm going to tell you. I'm going to show you why I have my phone. She just asked if for sale by owner that says, yeah, I'm going to wait like 30 days and see if I can sell it by myself. What do you say? I'm going to read you a text I received today. This is just so funny that you would ask that. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, here's his name. 11:28 a.m. This is the text I get. Hi, Shoshana. I listed our house on Zillow for fun to see if anyone from New York would be willing to pay $700,000 for it. Yeah, because New Yorkers are stupid, right? Like they don't really know what houses in Ohio cost. I'm having a lot of agents call and text and email me. I'm like, good job. They're doing what they should. But anyway, I didn't say that back to him. I don't want to officially list the house yet, but I want to make sure that you're the agent if someone does decide to buy the house. I don't want to do anything involving paperwork. Does this make sense, and can you help? Thanks. I just said I appreciate the sentiment. I'm booked until about 3:30. I'll call you back. So we're in the same boat. We're in the same boat. For sale by owner that doesn't want to sell, I would say that there's a lot of sort of like specific for sale by owner scripts. But one specific thing to say is, are you aware that the National Association of Realtor Statistics show that listed homes net the seller more money than for sale by owners? You could just tell them a fact. Well, I don't want, but you're going to get on the commission. I don't want to pay commission, right? I don't want to pay commission. Okay, well, if I could net you the amount of money that you want out of this house, you don't mind that I get paid also, right? I mean, somebody, you know, let's back into it and see if we can get you the amount of money that you want.
Is it 9% more?
I don't remember the number. I've looked it up actually pretty recently. It's something significant, yeah. It's easy, it's literally Googleable. Just Google NAR statistics about selling by owner. One more takeaway before you scan your QR code.
I'm gonna dial in my hot nurture and watch.
Yes, yes. If you had to guess, how many hot leads would you have right this minute?
I have 10, which I think are hot.
Yeah.
Need to revisit and see if they're still there.
Sure.
Back them up.
And how many nurtures?
30,
Okay, and do you have watches?
a handful.
A handful, good. So where would you say the bulk of your efforts should be? In the hots, right? And in developing a really hotter than hot pool. Because ultimately we all want to get paid in January, we all want to get paid in February, we all want to get paid in March. Getting paid in April, May, June, and July is a lot easier in our climate, but I like that. Thank you for coming today, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.